Hello Internet, Dyce Quirk here. Today we're going to go over 10 tips for new time travelers to Japan to make your trip amazing. And so, let's not waste time and let's get to it. Like I mentioned before, in this video we're going to be going over 10 tips to help make your trip amazing. A lot of these tips are for people that are traveling to Japan for the first time, but hopefully if you've been there more than once or maybe a couple times, a couple of these tips will still be good for you. And with that, let's start with tip number 1. Buy a change purse. Seriously, whether you're a guy or a girl, you're definitely going to want one, because Japan, even though it is a cash-based culture, it also is kind of more of a coin-based culture. You're going to find yourself collecting a lot of coins as you go from konbini to konbini, or as you go from vending machine to vending machine. There are tons of coins. You have your 1 yen or 1 yen, your 10 yen, your 5 yen, your 50 yen, your 100 yen, your 500 yen. Like, you're going to be collecting a lot of coins. And believe me, having a coin purse is just going to make it so much easier. Just don't acknowledge the fact that it's a purse. Get one that looks cool or that's just fun for you. It's going to help you a lot on your traveling. Tip number 2, learn some basic Japanese. I know that every other video is telling you this, every other blog is telling you this. Seriously, the reason why is because it's really important and it really adds a lot to your experience. Learn some basic phrases like "Otoire wa doku desu ka?" Where's the toilet? Or "Ohayo, konnichiwa, konbanwa." Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's just going to help your experience and it's going to make it a lot more fun. Plus, when you talk to people in Japan, in Japanese, it just shows them that you really appreciate their culture and that you're trying to learn it. And so they're going to be 1,000 times more likely to help you out because they want you to experience their culture. So, definitely give it a shot and put in some effort. Tip number 3, pack lightly and make sure you bring an extra empty suitcase for souvenirs. When you get to Japan, you're going to realize that there is a lot of walking that you're going to have to do up and down stairs, through the subway. You're going to be riding a lot of trains from place to place. And when you travel from hotel to hotel, you're not going to want to be carrying all that luggage. So pack lightly and make sure that that extra bag is there so that when you go home, you can bring back omiyage or snacks and treats for friends and family. And also, like my wife, you might want to bring back some of the exclusive Japanese drinks that you find in Japan. Believe me, you're going to want to take advantage of this tip I just gave to you. Tip number 4, download the Google Translate app for its picture translation function. This is something I didn't have on my first trip to Japan, but I really loved it on my second trip. Honestly, you just pull out your phone, you open the app, and then you can point your phone at different pictures of kanji, and it'll translate it in real time. It doesn't work every single time, but it definitely was very helpful, and I think that if you don't know too much Japanese, it'll be very helpful to you as well. Tip number 5, rent a hotspot. If your cell phone service doesn't work outside of your home country, or if it costs a load of money, just go ahead and rent a hotspot because it's going to help you do all of the basic things you need with your phone. First off, it's going to give you access to Google Maps, which you can use to navigate the train system over there and figure out which trains you're supposed to get on. Second, it's going to give you access to your Google Translate app that you just downloaded. And it's also going to give you access to whatever communication app you're using to communicate with your group as you're over there. Also, just as kind of a side tip, just go ahead and save your money and don't rent one of the Google translations or one of the translation sticks. I've tried it out, and it doesn't work quite as well as you'd hope for. It can't translate everything, and it can also make some pretty funny mistakes. So, go ahead and avoid that, and just make sure you get the hotspot. Tip number 6, buy yourself a hefty battery pack for your phones and hotspot. On our second trip to Japan, we bought this Anchor battery pack, which worked fantastically. It's huge. It did cost around $60. But honestly, it powered all of our phones and it took care of our hotspot the entire trip. The last thing you want to do is be in the middle of Tokyo or in the middle of Kyoto or some small town and you run out of battery on your hotspot and you can no longer get directions or figure out which trains you're supposed to be getting on. So I recommend getting at least one of these, if not a couple, for your entire group. If you want to know more about this one, I'll put a link in the description so that you can check it out on Best Buy. Tip number 7, get on trains before 7 a.m. or after 9 a.m. to avoid crowding. Basically, rush hour is going to be happening from 7 to 9 a.m. as people are getting on trains to go to work. And believe me, if you're traveling from hotel to hotel with luggage, you absolutely do not want to be on the train during that time. And to make sure you get your day started off early so that you can make the most of your day, I recommend trying to shoot before 7 a.m., just at least on the days when you're going to be moving hotels. So, make sure that you plan that out with your group, and make sure that you're ready to wake up a little early. Tip number 8. Use your Google Maps to navigate the train stations. So, basically when it comes to using the Google Maps to navigate train stations, all you're going to do is start at one train station, or your location, and right now I'm starting at Tokyo Station just to make things a little bit easier. You can't see it at this very second, but don't worry. So we are going to start from Tokyo Station, and next I'm going to get directions. Make sure you switch your mode of travel to train station, okay? And let's say we're going to Shibuya Station. Shibuya. Okay, so it's saying that my recommended line would be the Marunouchi line to Ginza line, and it's going to take 17 minutes and it's going to cost 199 yen. It's as easy as that, really. And you could take the Yamanote line. If you had the JR Rail Pass, this would be free. So, yeah, it's pretty easy. It might take a couple tries before you get it. Tip number 9. Plan to have a really light first day. The reason why is because you're going to have jet lag, you're probably going to have some trouble navigating the trains on your first trip, and it might take you a little bit longer to check in to your hotels than you might expect. And so, you want to make sure you plan really lightly for your first day so that you can not miss out on anything else that you have planned. Not to mention, it's still going to be amazing just exploring around your hotel and then getting some rest so that the rest of your trip can be absolutely unbelievable. And finally, tip number 10, plan to go to at least one Japanese festival. Honestly, so many people plan their whole trip to Japan and they forget to schedule in something with a Japanese festival or a matsuri. Honestly, it's a huge part of the culture and it's going to be an awesome experience for you. So, make sure you check one out and make sure you look into the specific month that you're going. That way you can find something that might tie into part of your trip. Seriously, it's amazing and you got to check one out. So, what did you think of our 10 tips for your trip to Japan? Did you feel like we had a lot of good tips? Did you feel like we really missed out on one that we should have included? Let us know in the comments. Also, if you're planning a trip to Japan, check out our video, Planning Your Trip to Japan in 17 Steps. We go through a lot of basic steps that are going to help you go from no trip to an excellent trip going over there. Also, if you want to know what you should pack for a trip to Japan, we have a video for that too. So, make sure you check them out. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And with all that said, Dice Quirk out.